ago, and our demon reports they are still apprehensive.
Survived the decades and desert winds.
You were born here?
On the other side.
This was 43-year-old Jamil Muhammad's childhood home.
This was our bathroom.
Right there.
Right. These were all rooms of our house. So every small hill you see was a house here.
There were once 40 farmhouses here, a village called Grts in the district of Mahmud. Along with countless other Kurdish villages, it was razed by Saddam Hussein's bulldozers in the late 80s, in a ruthless operation against the Kurds in northern Iraq. It was part of Saddam's Arabization campaign, aimed at displacing local Kurds and replacing them with Arabs, especially around the oil-rich cities like Kirkuk. Who should control these areas is now disputed. A stripe of territory between the semi-autonomous region of Kurdistan and the rest of Iraq. A territory with a mix of Kurds and Arabs. And with the U.S. largely viewed as the main protector of the Kurds, anxiety over the U.S. withdrawal is especially palpable here. Of course, Muhammad says, when asked if he believes the Arabs will again try to drive out the Kurds.
Mahmud is technically part of Nineveh province, which borders the region of Kurdistan. But it is being mostly protected by the Peshmerga, a Kurdish fighting force. And local officials tell us they take their orders from Erbil and not from the government in Baghdad.
At the Mahmud local Kurdish party headquarters, one of the deputies, Nariman Mahmoud, tells us he's convinced all Baghdad needs is sufficient military might, and it will strike. The system in Baghdad is a dictatorship, he says, with Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki at its head. The current Kurd-Arab tensions don't just center around land, but what's underneath it. Billions and billions of barrels of oil. Baghdad and the Kurdistan regional government have yet to agree on who makes final decisions on oil contracts. Right now, the Kurds are signing contracts Baghdad says are illegal. Among many Kurds, including the regional prime minister, concern over what the post-U.S. future will hold.
There is one fundamental challenge for Iraq. Where do you want to be 10 years from now? Would we want to risk another centralized dictatorship with access to oil resources and turn it into weapons and tear into the communities and the peoples of Iraq yet again? Absolutely not.
Jamil Muhammad says he's disappointed the U.S. is withdrawing before the tensions between the Kurds and the rest of Iraq are resolved, fearing the Kurds will be crushed once again. Arwa Damon, CNN, Mahmud, Iraq.
New questions are being asked about the size of China's nuclear arsenal. A 3-year-long study claims to have uncovered thousands of kilometers of tunnels capable of hiding thousands of nuclear missiles. That is many times more than current estimates. CNN's Chris Olan starts more.
While the Chinese were building these tunnels, a Georgetown professor was digging into China.
The students downloaded 200 hours of Chinese video.
Dr. Philip Carber and his team of students have produced the world's largest report on China's tunnels. China admits they were dug by a secretive branch of its military, responsible for deploying ballistic missiles and nuclear warheads.
They had 3,000 miles of these tunnels, 3,000 miles.
Can you put that in any perspective?
Imagine a tunnel 30 feet by 20 feet high running from Nova Scotia to Tijuana.
Carber is a former Pentagon strategist who used to look for weaknesses in the old Soviet Union. Based on the size of these tunnels, he says China could have as many as 3,000 nuclear warheads.
The problem with the study and the way that it comes to this estimate is that the students and their professor make the assumption that because China is working on this system of underground tunnels, this must automatically mean that they have they're working on new nuclear weapons.
Policy analyst Lacey Olson and others working on arms control question the Georgetown team's methods. Olson says suggesting that China has 3,000 weapons is a huge jump from the current estimate of a few hundred warheads and could lead rival Asian nations to start an arms race.
These all lead us to estimates that could potentially impact foreign policy in a very negative way.
But students who slogged through 200 hours of video and translated more than 1 million words disagree.
Seeing hundreds of thousands of Chinese men who work to build these things and hearing their stories and seeing how much effort they put into this is another issue, and it shows how important this is to the Chinese military.
They may provoke an arms race, even unintentionally.
Well, no matter how many nuclear weapons you believe China has, the team's research did yield some fascinating revelations, including how China would use disguised rail cars to transport some of its long-range missiles in secret. Chris Lawrence, CNN, The Pentagon.
The public is hereby informed that His Excellency the President, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Jammeh, is organizing a grand party in Kanilai from Friday, 2nd December 2011 at 4 p.m. to Sunday, 4th December 2011 at 5 p.m. A press release from the APRC's Kanifing South headquarters reveals that those who accompanied the President on his thank you tour will be picked up at the following locations for the trip to Kanilai: Banjul at BCC Chambers, Kanifing Municipality at KMC, and the Governor's Office in Brikama for those in the West Coast region. The dispatch states that the departure is slated for Friday, 2nd December 2011 at 12 midday, and adds that those who can afford to make it to Kanilai on their own can join the party. Those in need of additional information can contact the campaign manager or the APRC Secretariat, it concludes. We now take our second break. Stay tuned. It's now time to take a look at the weather report by the Central Forecast Office.
The Gambia is endowed with a wonderful landscape full of baobab trees. Like its Cape Point in Bakau, it is one of the most exotic sceneries in the world. The baobab tree is a symbol of resilience, wisdom, and resourcefulness. For the baobab tree provides good food in times of hunger, rents its bark for medications, and its sap for glue. In the Gambia, there is a company like the baobab tree, 100% African and purely Gambian in all aspects: in know-how, design, value, capital, and management. That company is Elton. Elton, employing hundreds of Gambians and proudly associating itself with development in the Gambia. Elton, side by side with the Gambia.
It's a warm welcome from the Central Forecast Office. This is the weather news. First, we begin with the summary followed by the forecast. I am your presenter, Hadi Choi. The day today was mainly warm and sunny in the afternoon over the entire country. And to know what prevailed over the rest of the continent, we propose a look at the image captured at 1600 hours, indicating the presence of thunderclouds over South Africa and part of the eastern continent. Elsewhere was dry and stable during the period. For the forecast tonight, we'll be expecting dry and mostly cloudy conditions to prevail over the entire country, becoming cool towards dawn. The day tomorrow will be mainly warm and sunny in the afternoon. Light to moderate northeasterlies will continue to flow across the country, and for the minimum temperatures, we'll be expecting 18 degrees Celsius over Banjul and Jindum, 16 over Kerawan, 15 degrees Celsius over Sibanor and Jinoy, whilst Kawur and the rest of the country will be 14 degrees Celsius warm tomorrow morning. For the maximum temperatures, we'll be expecting 34 degrees Celsius over Banjul, 35 over Yundum, 36 over Kerawan, Sibanor and Jinoy, whilst Kawur and the rest of the country will be 37 degrees Celsius warm tomorrow afternoon. For those going to the sea, we'll be expecting a low tide of 0.52 meters at 9:13 a.m. and also 0.66 meters at 9:13 p.m. For the high tides, we'll be expecting 1.57 meters at 3:03 a.m. and also 1.29 meters at 3:55 p.m. For the wave heights, we'll be expecting 1 to 2 meters high, and there will be northeasterly swells. The sun will rise at 7:14 and will set at 18:32. We now take a quick look at the international forecast. Until I come your way next time, have a pleasant evening.